Chef David Fhima joins us. He is owner of Fhima's in downtown Minneapolis. He also cooks for some of the pro teams in town. We'll talk about that in a moment. Chef Fhima, thanks so much for coming back to the show.
Good afternoon, Roshini. Thank you so much for having me back.
All right, let's just kind of, go with this now. Your restaurant, your colleagues' restaurants, really life as you have been doing it for so long, came to a screeching halt around the middle of March. And all along, we've kind of been waiting perhaps for this June 1st date when restaurants in some sort of capacity could go back to having customers inside. And we find out a few days ago from Governor Tim Walz that only will be on patios. Your take on that?
Well, it's really very important to remember that I think sometimes when we discuss these things that almost as that our first goal is opening the restaurant. That's not true. Our first goal is to be safe. Our first goal is to adhere with government policies and what our leaders tell us, and obviously none of us in our restaurant industry, if not most of us, want to be political. We have way too many skeletons in our closet to even want to try to do that. So by no means what I'm about to say is political or has any hidden agendas. March 17th we shut down, and unexpectedly, and we all pivoted, as you know, Roshini, and you and I have talked about this. We've all pivoted. What do we do? And a lot of us took the food that we had and we helped the community. A lot of us try to help our industry, and we waited and we waited, and as we should have, and as we need to. And I don't have any answers as far as the pandemic is concerned. My biggest issue with this particular order is that it seems arbitrary, and it does not make sense to me. I am not asking the governor, or we have not in our industry, we have not asked our leaders force people to come and eat. That is not what we did. We did not ask our leaders close everybody down and open us up. We've asked our leaders, as you're opening, consider us as well. As you are asking and weigh in. There is no industry, Roshini, that is more regulated in terms of health, besides hospitals, than the restaurant industry. We're constantly managing kitchens with sanitations, with procedures. We have the health department that checks on us all the time. So if there is anyone who understands how important health is the food industry. And so you take that industry, which understands that to begin with, and now it's pivoting. And when the governor made its first announcement that we're looking at reopening June 1st restaurants, I took our leaders, and I'm a big supporter, and I support our government, and I support our leaders, but I took that at face value. Okay, so we started pivoting, and we started preparing, and we knew it was not going to be at 100%, and we knew it was going to have social distancing, and you knew masks were going to be part of it, but we did not know that it was going to be patio only. And that just really, whatever you are in this stormy sea and whatever wind you had in your sail that you thought was coming, you find out it's not.
Right. And it was such a blow. And I was following this very closely. I mean, you were following it far closer than many of us. But, because I am such a foodie and because I have all of you guys come on my show and I love promoting you and people count on restaurants, I just don't ever remember hearing this patio only thing happening until the actual executive order came out. So it was a surprise, to customers, to your prospective customers, as well as what it sounds like a blow to many of you in the industry. You have been quoted, I saw in the Star Tribune just the day after this came out, that your patio basically has 8 tables, and so to social distance that small patio, you might go down to just a couple tables, and that's really not economically feasible for you to run a restaurant for a couple tables.
On the best of days, being full almost every night, we struggle with our bottom lines. It's just because it's a very competitive business. Minnesota has some of the best restaurants in the country, some of the great chefs. A lot of them are colleagues. On the best of days, we are struggling. On the worst of days, we're not struggling. We're dying. And this is the worst of days. And we're not saying that our death, and I'm not an alarmist by any means. I'm probably the most positive person you'll ever meet in your life. Most of us in our industry have to be positive, because we're kind of crazy to be in this business, which literally doesn't make us a lot of money easily. So on the worst of days, it's not that we are hanging on out there. There's nothing to hang on. So opening a patio. So I have a patio, like you said. You're right. Your quote is actually it's a really good point. So you have restaurants that have large patios. Those are going to be able to sit a maximum of 50 people. They have to take reservations. Imagine the amount of work that it takes to manage and administer that. You have to pay people to do that, correct? So that your expense is already up. You're not going to charge people for that. You can't. So now you take restaurants who have small patios like me, and now if you adhere to the 6 feet social distancing, which we should, and I completely agree with, you are left with 2 tables on each side. I mean, unless you're changing $500 per guest and have a limit of 60 minutes, there is no way you can
Yeah.
make it. So it
Exactly.
doesn't even make sense to open, because you lose
Right.
more money being open, being limited, because your expenses are just as big as if you were open, sitting your full restaurant.
I'm talking with Chef David Fhima, owner of Fhima's. He is no stranger to owning restaurants and the culinary industry. If you have any questions for him, give us a text or a call, 651-989-9226. Well, here's the other thing, and I want people after the show today to go look at your Instagram page, because you put together, I think it was like a 9-minute video earlier in the week, sharing all the things you've done in your restaurant, getting ready for what you thought was in-store, in-restaurant, in-person service. And I was really amazed at the detail and the expense that you have gone to with cleaning, hyper cleaning the place, spreading people out. Can you give us a visual on that for people
Well, absolutely. And
who might not know your restaurant, or who were wondering, what were you planning to do?
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because I think that's very important. We take the safety of our staff, the safety of our guests extremely seriously. And of course, now more than ever. So we went and we decided, okay, what is happening around the country, and how can we go above and beyond that, and not only do that, but also be trendsetters of what everybody else should be doing. So we went and started installing touchless soap dispensers, touchless paper dispensers. We looked at our patio itself, because it's to the street, and started building and you're going to see it coming up soon, full enclosure with art enclosing. So if you go by 7th Street, you're going to see this incredible mural of art enclosing all of our patio. That's pretty expensive. We wanted to do it with art as opposed to do it with greenery, because artists right now are hurting tremendously. So how can we support them? And we were lucky with Stephanie Dillon, which is an incredible artist, who is helping us with that. We went into our kitchen, which is incredibly clean to begin with. And we said, okay, we are not going to ask you to trust us. We brought a company, Ungerman, who specializes in specifically in the in any places if they are contaminated, decontaminating it, killing viruses, and they have been working day and night on every piece of equipment, wall, cranny, corner. I mean, it is incredible. I am blown away by the amount of work that they're doing, because I want, and we're videoing this thing, I want our guests to feel safe. And I'm not I'm not sure that they all are going to feel safe. And I don't have any issues with people who don't. But for those who are on the verge, or for those who want to go out, I want them to know that this is what restaurants are doing. So we also we have these booths which are 10 feet apart, and they're private. We made sure the curtains were perfect around them. We bought masks for all our staffs. We created these separations if you are sitting at the bar with plexiglass, so the person next to you, there's literally a plexiglass between you and that person.
Right.
So
I mean, measures that I don't think we could have ever dreamed of. Chef Fhima, this listener has a question for you on the text line. If inside seating becomes available to provide in restaurants, what is minimum capacity you would need to make it worthwhile to even open up?
It's a great question. As I said, on the best of days, I can tell you, we have a 27 to 30% labor cost. We have a 28% food cost. We have an 11% operating expense. We have a 9% rent. This is different. I don't know. My P&L, a COVID-19 P&L, is scary because it's
heavy on the losses right now.
I'm sorry?
Heavy on the losses. Yeah.
And right now what needs to be understood is that all of us in our industry, we know that we are not going to make any money. We know that we're going to lose money. We are trying to stay alive and lose as little as possible. So as things get better, we are here and hopefully make a living without losing money. So you take a restaurant like mine, which is 15,000 square feet. I am one of the luckiest person in the world, but I'm also the cursed person because it's a huge space.
It is huge.
And it's an incredibly, it's an iconic 130-year-old space from the era of Art Deco in downtown Minneapolis. We can space people 6 feet apart and still have 50, 70 people in there and make it look like there is nobody in there and it's safe. The ceilings are 50 feet high. The space is enormous. You know what else we've done? Is that we put a camera in the kitchen. So when you come and eat at the restaurant, you'll be able to go live and see what's happening in the kitchen. That's
fabulous.
You can see our kitchen doors. We have made them permanently open. So when you go by it, there is nothing to hide. People need that. I need to go to a restaurant and see and feel that. And what's frustrating to me is that our officials are not giving us a chance. We've measures that we have taken that go above and beyond everybody else. I mean, you go to a grocery store, Roshini, and you're touching thousands of products that 1,000 people before you have touched, and you're there for 90 minutes. And you are telling me that logically that is a safer place than a restaurant who has 2 chefs with masks and gloves touching your food and a server dedicated to you. So we can make sure we have tracing. Are you telling me that that's safer? I'm not saying we should close grocery stores. I'm just saying and if they have a reason for it, I want to hear it. And I want to support.
Yeah, and here's what I say. Whatever the rules are, and I really do want restaurants to be able to open. And you've described to us in great detail the safety measures you're taking, and you will continue to take. It's everyone's choice. If they do not want to go to restaurants, they do not have to. But at the end of the day, it is the sector that has lost the biggest number of employees. It is, I think, 40% or so of the unemployment in Minnesota is happening in the hospitality industry. And this is why every week we are featuring some member of the hospitality industry to bring us in to their insider view on this. Chef David Fhima, thanks so much for going inside with us. I hope by the next time you join me, we have happier things to talk about. We definitely wish you and your team a lot of luck, and we do hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. And just 5 seconds to commend you for the work that you do in supporting our industry. All industries are hurting. Obviously, I only can talk about mine because that's the only one I know something about. But you've been at the forefront of talking to the people in our industry. So we are grateful for that. And we're grateful that you're giving us a voice. Truly grateful for you and WCCO. Thank you.
Thank you, David. You have a great week. Good luck. And again, if you want to revisit the conversation I just had with David, you can go to the radio.com app and the rewind feature. You can also find his segment later today and beyond on my show page.